لا فتى إلا علي لا سيف إلا ذو الفقار لا فتى إلا علي لا سيف إلا ذو الفقار
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. This is our seventh discussion today on 110 lessons of life from the commander of the faithful, Imam Ali, may God's peace and blessings be upon him. And today's topic is about freedom, freedom of humanity. Now, without a doubt, freedom is a very powerful, emotionally charged word that has been and continues to be used in the world today. Many countries fought for their freedom. Many countries today are fighting for freedom. Many individuals within many different countries around the world are fighting for what they deem or perceive to be their freedom that they have been born with. And without a doubt, there are a lot of things that can be said, both from the religious perspective of what is mentioned within the Quran and within the sacred traditions of the Prophet and his successors. And also freedom can be looked at from a secular perspective of how this word is defined and what it means. Today, obviously, we want to limit our discussion to just one very brief tradition and one aspect about freedom from the sources of Islam, and specifically from the words of the commander of the faithful, Imam Ali, may God's peace and blessings be upon him. In this tradition, he has said the following: O people, indeed from Prophet Adam's lineage, no one has been created as a slave, male or female. Rather, indeed, all of humanity are born free. This very short hadith, very short saying, touches upon a few different points which we want to reflect upon today. The first is the statement from the commander of the faithful and how he begins this particular saying, where he addresses all of humanity. Now, for those who have an understanding and who have read the Quran and the traditions of the 14 infallibles, you'll know that they address different individuals at different times. Sometimes the call is made to the Muslims in particular, the believers in particular. Sometimes that call is extended to the disbelievers and they are addressed. And yet other times within the traditions and within the Quran, the addressee are the people of the book, the Jews and the Christians. And at the final level is where the Creator or any of his servants, such as the Prophet and the infallible successors, they address humanity on a whole. And this is one of those traditions where it is not directed to the Muslim or to the believer or to the follower of another Abrahamic faith, but no, this is a call going out to all of humanity, regardless of color, of religion, of caste, of creed, of nationality. And we're told that every single child of Adam, the source that all of us come from Adam and Eve, all of us have been created free. We're not slaves, whether we're male or we're female. Every single human being comes into this world as a free man or a free woman. And then obviously, unfortunately, political, social situations take place and take over, and individuals who were once born as free men and women are now subjugated to slavery. This was a fact at the time of the beginning of Islam, that slavery was a reality. We see also many countries in the Western world today who claim democracy are built on the blood, sweat, and tears of slaves whom they kidnapped, whom they stole from many parts of the world to build their countries and to develop their infrastructure. And even continues to happen today. And we have also even 21st century modern slavery in many countries around the world who claim to be free and democratic, but we know that they are also practicing forms of slavery even today in the year 2015. So what does Islam tell us about this particular discussion on freedom? One of the things we see based upon the commentary of this hadith is that each and every single human being is born with talents and abilities and skills. The way that these talents and skills can flourish and nurture and be matured is if they are given freedom on two different levels. The first level, according to the commentator of this hadith, is the internal freedom, the freedom of thought, the freedom to reflect, the freedom to think, the freedom to look at all of the various options that are available to the person and to choose what is best for them. The second ingredient or component of freedom is external freedom, meaning that a person has to be free to go out and choose what they want to know. They have to be able to go to the sources of knowledge and to be able to take from that knowledge to see that does this fit with what their understanding of the world is. And if these two are combined, if you have the internal freedom and the external freedom to go forth, then the human being can actually reach their fullest potential. They can reach to perfection, so to speak, through the freedom that Allah, the Creator, has given, and through the freedoms which human beings will allow each and every single individual to benefit and enjoy through their life. However, a question comes up, and this is brought up within the religious discussions and also within these secular democracies of the world, is that what kind of freedom are we talking about? Because unfortunately, again, this word freedom has not been defined correctly, it's not been defined properly, and it actually, the definition changes according to who you ask. So as an example, many Western countries today talk about freedom. You have the freedom of speech, you have the freedom to say what you want. You have the freedom to write what you want. You have the freedom to think what you want. But we know for a fact that this claim of theirs is not real. It is not a true definition when they implement it, because there are certain things which it is illegal to talk about today. Certain topics are taboo, are not only taboo, but they actually could land you in jail if you talk about, if you question historical events. If you question numbers, if you question facts and figures, you can actually be put in jail in many countries around the world. And there are many examples of people who have written books, who have researched historical events, and who have been prosecuted and put in jail for many years because of their thought. So for the West to claim freedom of thought, freedom of speech is a fallacy actually on their part. So what do we mean by freedom? From the commentator of this hadith, we see that freedom can be of three types, or this ability to possess freedom can be of three types. One is uncontrolled, unfettered, uninhibited freedoms, where you can say, do, and think anything you want. Now we know again that this does not exist anywhere in the world today. There is no country which gives an individual 100% complete freedom to do as they want. Even to drive down the road, you have a speed limit. So you're not free to do what you want. You have to obey certain rules. The second level is where there is no freedom of thought, where everything is controlled by the state, the media, everything is controlled by some form of government, where you cannot think, react, speak, or do anything. You can't protest in the streets. You can't question authority. This is the second level where we see that some countries are currently expressing this level of freedom for their subjects. The third and the final, and what Islam envisions and what Islam would advocate on behalf of, is a freedom which is freedom through the religious teachings, meaning that it is not a man-made law which will dictate and govern what is the limits of freedom and of freedom of speech, of freedom of thought, but rather it is the religion, and specifically the religion of Islam, and even more specifically the teachings of Muhammad and the family of Muhammad, the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, which will set the demarcations, it will form that red line, so to speak, of what you can and cannot say or do or cross. And when you have such a limit of freedom, then it hopefully will, if it's put in implementation and it's put within checks and balances, then you will not have despots controlling the minds of the individuals. You will not have people in power who are controlling what people can say or think or do, because now freedom is given based upon the guidelines that Allah and the Messenger and his successors have put into place. And when we have such a level of freedom within society, then you will actually be able to see humanity flourish and get to that level that God has promised for each and every single individual, that we will be able to reach our fullest potential that we have been created with. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.